Make sure you have the 3 things you need out: your math book, your notebook, and pencil out. If that's not out by the end of these seconds, it's going to have to be deduction. You're coming back from break. Make sure that you're paying close attention. We're almost close to the end of the school year. I want to go as smoothly as possible to the end of this race. Remember, for your do-nots, I'm looking for more work than answers, so make sure you're showing plenty of work. All right, put those in the middle. Open up your notebooks. Copy down the I can stand for today. And today is lesson 81. We are talking about using proportions to solve percent problems. We've done proportions before, especially with ratio. But now we're doing the same exact thing as we did with those ratios, but now just with percent. Can I put that in the middle? You got 5 seconds to have your notebook out and copy down the I can statement. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So I just got his out. Karma, where's yours? You getting it out? Gotta be faster. Okay. Today's lesson is a little bit difficult. It took the other class a little bit, pretty long time to get through. So I want to make sure we get started quickly and that you guys are focused. I'd rather you get an A than an F. The I can statement for today, which you copy right next to the lesson number, is I can use proportions to solve percent problems. Say it with me. I can use proportions to solve percent problems. All right, who remembers those graphs? Press, we talked about this, step forward. Where you had a ratio on one side and the actual count on the other. Does anyone remember those tables? If you do, you have a leg up for today because we're doing the same exact things, except we're dealing with percent problems. All right, who can read the problem for today? Go ahead, Kyla, nice and loud. Okay, that's going to be a deduction for disrespect. You don't need to say that. You don't have to raise your hand. You will always be called on no matter what. So Kyla, read. All right, so what are we looking for in this word problem? Perez?
What we're looking for is how many students did not buy their lunch in the cafeteria.
Right, so it's like here, do you bring a lunch from home or do you get one from hot lunch? That's what the question is. How many total students are there? We don't know. We know that 40% of them did not buy, and we know that 480 students buy their lunch in the cafeteria. So first of all, we got to set up that table. First you do, draw a square. You're going to put percent on this side. I like using the percent sign because I'm lazy. I don't want to write the whole with the word percent. And then I put AC for actual count. Percent is like you see something percent on the news, percent in the media, percent in sports. Percentage is stuff you can't really touch a percent, can you? You can touch the part of the percent, but you can't physically touch that number. Actual count is the actual item you're counting. So they say this NBA player dribbled the ball 97% of the time. You can calculate how many times he actually touched the ball by that. Okay? You gotta draw 3 lines. You gotta label this box. The bottom one, very simple. It's always the total. The middle row is going to be, let's say, IC for in cafeteria. So in cafeteria food. And then the top one will be OC for they get their food out of the cafeteria. Make sense? William? What?
How many examples do we have?
Okay, you just stopped the entire lesson for that. So we got OC, IC, and the total. What would the total percent be? That magic number. The number that, even though your coach says give 110%, you can't really give that. That's actually physically impossible. Carrie Ellie? Yes, 100. Okay. Now it says if 480 students buy their lunch in the cafeteria, if 480 students buy their lunch in the cafeteria, where does that number go? Does it go in OC or IC? It says 480 students buy their lunch in the cafeteria. Carry on. Correct. Does it go in the percent or actual count?
Actual.
Correct. All right. Now, it says 40% of the students at Lincoln Middle School do not buy their lunch in the cafeteria with a strong style hand. Where does that 40% go? Does it go in IC or OC? Perez?
OC because it's a percent, not
Well, it says percent, but it says do not buy. So it goes out of. They bought it out of the school. But you're right. And you got the second part right. It does go in the percent side. Now, what is the missing percent? You can do this simple with simple subtraction. What's left? If 40% is them, what's the IC? Ethan?
60.
Correct. So now we just found out that what the entire box is from what we know already. We don't know the total number of kids. We just don't. We don't know the actual count for the people who brought food outside of the cafeteria. Like they went to Mickey D's or they went to Burger King or mom made them their special little meal at home. We don't know. Now we need to find out what. Again, I think Perez said it before, but who else can say, what are we looking for? What is the question asking for? You got to read it maybe a couple times, because if you don't know what it's asking for, you will get it wrong. So make sure you read. Kyla? Right, we're looking for AC. We're looking for, I'm going to use red to symbolize it. We're looking for this question mark. Okay? Now, we got to set up a proportion, which means something equals something. Like 2 hands equals 1 person, because everyone has 2 hands. I think that's not even a proportion. But
Not everybody.
the way you set up is you're going to take, let me use purple. Good. You're going to take these 2 numbers and stack them. So 40 over 60 equals, so remember, it's got to be something equals something. And since we're looking for this side, you're going to take both right here. You're going to put OC over 480. Okay? That's how you set up your proportions. This is where you get your proportions. Ethan?
Aren't you supposed to divide the bottom like?
Hold on 1 second. What do you have to do now? Remember what we did with the ratios? There's 2 steps. One reminds you of Jesus, and the one reminds you of like slicing up bread. Pam?
Multiplying what?
Well, where does the Jesus part come in though? Not just multiply, but it's
Cross. Cutting it by hand.
Carrie Ellie? Cross multiply, there you go. You're gonna cross multiply, write these words down. And then you divide. I misspelled divide. Sorry, it's really warm in here. Whenever I'm warm, I can't spell for some reason. It's a weird thing. All right, so that means you're going to take 40 times 480 and 60 times OC, which gets you 60 OC equals, what's 40 times 480? Carry on.
19,200.
Yes. Sorry, I said 1,000. 19,200. Okay? That's step one. We cross multiply. What's the second step? Strong silent hand. William? Correct. Do you divide by 60 or by 19,200? Which number do you use to divide? Jawan? No.
No, the outside.
Tyler?
No.
Right, because whatever number is next to the letters, you divide by. Because they cancel each other out, then you're just stuck with OC by itself, which is what you want. So now you got 19,200 divided by 60, which gets you, let's go with purple. OC equals, Ethan?
15 students.
Sorry, what?
320 students.
Correct. You may. Any questions? Perez,
So do you always divide?
are you chewing on gum?
No.
What are you chewing on? Give you a warning this time,
All right.
because we're back from break, but nothing in your mouth.
All right. So do you do you always divide it by the 60%?
You're gonna always divide it by whatever number is next to the letters. Because you want to get the letters by itself. You see how our answer is not just 320 students, but it's OC equals 320? That's because you want to keep OC to the left. Whatever letter it is, keep it to the left, equals that number, and then you have to divide by whatever number is next to the letters. Tyler? You could, but that's not what the lesson is about. Which is, plausible, right? But this is not what the lesson is asking for. So I know there's other ways to do it. It will be a deduction if you go right now. Any other questions? Perez, last one, then we gotta get going.
So what if it's like 150? Give it to like 150%. And it's like for real, cause like it's just weird. How can it be like maybe like 150 students and then be like 180 right there? That's possible.
Well, let's figure this out. So the actual count over here,
Cause on our test.
320 right here. How many actual students did they survey altogether? What's the total? You take 320 plus 480, what do you get? Ethan?
800 students.
Right, so Perez, when you do something like this, and I think what you're talking about is the ratio stuff, which is a tad bit different when you get your answers. But percents is just a way to say this, because if you were like say I surveyed 100 students in this building, do I want to say this many students said this many students? No, I want to say this percent of the students. also people do abuse percents, and that's like because they're like 75% of this thing or something is deadly. Don't eat it, but then it turns out like it's not. Like they only surveyed like 3 of them, and 3 of them ended up being bad out of like millions of Twinkies in the world. But that's actually what happened with them once. Like a parent said like 100% Twinkies kill you. They only
What?
surveyed like 2 Twinkies, but they put out the number of 100%,
What?
and people believed it for a little bit. But then someone's like, she only ate 2 of them and lied. But people do that.
Well, how she know it was deadly? if she
Bring
was
it
alive?
back.
Wait, that's,
Carrie, I think you're saying it right. Thank you, Parrot. Adriana, Karma, Lanisha, honey. Is she actually out? I hope she's feeling. We'll give her a couple minutes and then we'll wake her up. Hopefully she feels better. All right, now it says in the town of Centralville, 261 of the 300 people working do not carpool. Who knows what carpooling is? Are you getting the car together? So it says in this town, 260 of them of the 300. First of all, you gotta draw your box. We're dealing with percent, so one side has to be percent, and then one actually has to be the actual amount of people, AC. Gotta make mine a little bigger. Let's go with total down here. And then let's go PC for people in the carpool and PN for people not in the carpool, okay? So we got PC, PN, and then the total. All right, so first of all, what's the magic number for the total amount of percentage? Here, Elliot? Got that out of the way. Like starting with that. Do we know anything else about the percents? No, doesn't say anything.
13.
What, Perez, give me 30 seconds in the back, calm down. I don't like it when you blur it out. What's the total amount of people they surveyed? Where does it say that? Malik?
13.
Where do you guys see 13? That's 300.
They talking about B, but we on A.
That's B. We're not doing B. B is, forget B. That's like a different question to go with this, but we're not going to do it. So what's the total amount of actual people they surveyed? Carry on. Correct. So 300 goes on the bottom for the total. Then it says 261 of the 300 working people do not carpool. So where does the 261 go? Does it go on PC or PN? Tyler? Correct. Perez, when you're ready, please make sure you pull your mask up because that's just the rule. And have a seat. Okay, Malik? Go ahead. I'm gonna have you wait a little bit. All right, how many people actually carpool? If you took 300 minus 261, what is the actual count for people who are in a carpool? $300 minus 261 is 3 hands got it. Cedric? Not 161, but Perez?
Is it 29?
Not 29, close. Perion?
39.
Yeah. So, not B, because B is something completely different. Perion. It's gonna be a deduction. You gotta make sure you're not talking on a turn. And it was him. But I'm just saying, because the next thing I have to do with you, Perez, is sentences. I'm giving you a little bit of a break. So he still gets his consequence. Anyway. Now it says A, what percent of the people are carpooling? Carry on. All now. Tyler. To the back. Carry on. You're in census. How would you set up the proportion?
39 divided by 300.
Yeah. Why did you choose 39 over 300? Perez?
Because 300 is our total,
Mm-hmm.
and 39 is the people that
Are all in this together.
yeah.
Okay. Now we gotta do the percent side of it. What's the total percent? 100. Do we know how many people are in the carpool? So we're looking for PC. Alrighty then. What's the next step? It's had two parts. One reminds you of Jesus and one reminds you of cutting up bread. Karma? Yes. So you're going to take 300 times PC. What is 39 times 100? Kelly? 3,900. Step 2. Step 2. We multiplied, we cross multiplied, now we got to William? We just cross multiply, what do you do next? Correct, you divide. Do you divide by 300 or 3,900? Malik? Not 3,900. Adriana? Right, because it's whatever number is next to the letters. So now we have PC equals Tyler? And this one you put percent by. So that means 13 goes up here, which means for, let's say, a couple payments, what is the percentage for PN? Let's go ladies first. Adriana? Sure. If you're in the back and you need to stand up, fine, because I got this weird computer here. Perez, give it a shot.
The percentage right there is it's 87. For
Yeah.
a couple payments right now.
I'll give you 3.
You cancel out how much there?
No. All right. Any questions? Cedric, that's going to be deduction. All right. If you can confidently say, because we're out of time, if you can confidently say, I can use proportions to find the percent, or I can use proportions to solve percent problems, raise your pencil above your head. And if there's a question about deduction, ask Mr. Hall, okay? Because he's your homeroom teacher. He'll explain it to you. Get ready. Get set. Go. You want to come back here and write sentences? Because you're complaining. And also, can I help in your case with just a turn around talking about that? You gotta raise your hand. It'll be introduction. Cedric, you can go on to that. Give me 30 seconds of cool down. Will be number 13. Read the thought. Because 100% is always there. It's always out of 100.
I'm just saying, that I didn't use that number.
Just because that's what you're supposed to fill in the box. That's all that also. All right, Cedric, if you're calmed up, you can go back and try again. Next time I have to send you back there, it will be sentences. Make sure your voices are off. So if I hear anyone talk, you get all 30 problems for tomorrow.